Hello, everyone. It is Self Care Sunday. Sunday, I tell you, Self Care Edition. How are you tonight? What are you and you, but especially you, grateful for? Tell me about it. Tell me about it. That is what I want to know. I get my big screen going here. Boom. I think we got it. I think I got all my screens going. What is going on in your world this evening? What are you grateful for? That is what I want to know. If I can get my. Can't seem to hit the right button here tonight. Hello, Kitty. How are you tonight? I was thinking of you today. I meant to send you a message. How are things in Illinois? I hope all is well with you. I hope things are going well in Illinois. I hope things are going well everywhere. Hey, Carrie in Florida. Warming up in Florida yet? Is it getting any warmer? Warmer in Florida now that spring break is over? Right, we're coming to the end of spring break. Hey, April, how about Nebraska? Nebraska in the house. Yeah, cold there, Carrie. Well, we better get it warmed up before I come back down to Florida next month. Before I'm down there next month. It was cold here today, too. I went out for a little bit. I was mostly at my desk today. And I got out. I said at the end of the day, I said, I just want to go out for a little bit, so I'm outside. And then I'm like, oh, it's cold out here. It's windy. But I think today is supposed to be a turning point, and the rest of our week is supposed to be better. I think. I don't know. I don't really listen to the weather. Hey, we are broadcasting it on both Facebook and YouTube. Anytime with Facebook, hop on over to YouTube. I am there too. I am there. I am. But spring shoppers were in this week, so we'll talk about it. Let's get started with the Stay Positive book. The Stay Positive book is where we start every night. Every night is where we start. Tonight we're on page 204. Tell yourself these 5 things today. You are loved. You matter. It's okay to fail. Everyone does. Fear is normal. Don't worry about the outcome. Go for it. Smile. You've got this. I love it. I love it. That is what you tell yourself. Those 5 things today. Yeah. So for how cold it was, I gotta say, spring shoppers were out this weekend, and they were buying. People were spending money. The almighty American consumer is still out there. And you gotta love that. You gotta love that the American consumer is shopping. That is a good thing. The American consumer shopping still, um, but they were out and about. People were out. They were spending money. They were buying things. Oops, I'm throwing things here. I'm throwing things off my desk here. Sorry about that. Uh, okay. But in general, from what I'm hearing from people, in my early weekend sales forecast, I don't have people's sales numbers right at the hand, but the early feeling that I am hearing from people is that it was good. Obviously, one of the indicators that I do look for is our first quarter is about to close. We've got 11 days left in this month to make it an amazing month. And you did, Kitty had her spring open house Saturday. High temperature was 16. Holy moly, Kitty. Uh, yes, if it was 60, you probably wouldn't have done as well. But that is great that people wanted to be inside and wanted to shop. So That is a good thing. I'm not seeing a lot of, the bump in cash sales that you normally see a lot with tax refunds. I haven't seen that bump hit in yet, but tax refunds are smaller this year than they were last year. The average refund will be smaller this year, for a number of reasons. Biggest among them is the lack of COVID support, things that were giving COVID support, extra kid money, and things that were part of the COVID support packages, um, and such. But people are still shopping and spending. And that's really the good thing. Even though the media wants you to think otherwise, the American consumer is resilient and is out there and doing their part. Um, hey, Julie Jenkowitz, how are you tonight? Hope all is well with you. So we were going to finish up our talk about rent tonight. Okay. So we've talked a lot about what makes up your rent for your space. You have your basic rent. You have your CAM or triple net, common area maintenance, or triple net, which is the net of taxes, the net of insurance, and the net of common area maintenance charges. And then tonight, we're bringing it all home and talking about your occupancy cost, because occupancy cost is and keeping that in balance. Okay, things have to be in balance. If things aren't in balance, your business doesn't run well. Your business doesn't run well. And not that you can't buck a trend, okay? You could be the one with yours weirdly high, but you're still making money. It is possible, but it's a much higher mountain to climb, than if you're in balance, okay? There's a big reason why we talk about balance in occupancy costs. So, um, uh, so occupancy cost is looked at as a percentage of sales, or it's often called rent to sales or occupancy cost. Your percentage of rent that's going to sales. Many of you who own a home or bought a home in the past, you're in the mortgage business. Your mortgage has to be less than a quarter of your take home or a third of your take home pay, a third of your pay going towards your housing costs. So a lot of people are familiar with it in their homes, but they're not familiar with it in their business. And in your business, okay, you calculate occupancy costs. You calculate occupancy costs by taking your annual rent, okay, because usually this is an annualized number. Your annual rent, okay, whatever you spent in rent annually, divided by your annual sales to get a percentage. So keeping things simple, let's say I'm just going to keep it real simple for a minute. If your annual rent was $10,000 and your annual sales were $100,000, 10,000 divided by 100,000. Get the big calculator here. 10,000 divided by 100,000. 10%. 10% would be a rent to sales of 10%. And that would be a good number for the resale industry. In the resale industry, you're looking at a rent to sales of 6 to 12%. You want to be in the 6 to 12% zone with your rent to sales. So, and so also called your occupancy costs. So rent to sales, occupancy costs, same thing. And it is really important to know where you're at and to work on changing it if you are not in that zone. Okay, if you are not in that zone, you want to be in that zone. Okay, because that's the healthy zone for your rent to sales. So that usually you can't change your rent. Okay, usually your rent isn't something that is going to change for you. So if you can't change your rent, you need to change your sales, and we need to work on your sales. And that's a an additional topic, and we will talk more about that. But but usually going to your landlord and saying, well, according to my industry standards and what Neil said, my rent to sales should be this, and my rent is really 15% and it should be 6 to 12. Most landlords aren't going to have a lot of sympathy for you. But that's where we have to work on getting your sales. What is it going to take to get your sales into that zone? Okay. And keeping it in that zone is where things stay healthy because everything starts to function better when it's in the zone. Looking at the big guys, there have been big changes. So I always like to look at what's happening in the big guys because these trends matter. These trends matter, and I look at that. The average apparel store, the big guys, in 2022 was averaging 9.08%. It was a craft store. Their rent to sales were 12.33%. A department store was 7.92%. A dollar store, 8.39%. Pet supplies, 12.52%. Specialty restaurant, 17% going to rent. A supermarket, 3.68%. Ooh, I'd like that. I'd like to sign. I mean, but they make big commitments there, and their product really does spoil. Um, Fast food runs at about 5.97%. Fitness centers run at about 24%. Uh, Movie theaters, 27%. And so it really does matter because it works with all the other things that you sell and the ratios of everything else that you sell. It works in with your payroll, which we've talked about payroll. It works in with your other costs of doing business, your cost of goods sold, okay, the cost of your inventory, okay. So keeping your rent in balance is important. And really I like looking at that number before I go into a space. Okay, if my rent is this, okay, if my rent's going to be $10,000 a year, well, I know I got to do at least $100,000 in sales. Okay, if my rent's going to be $20,000 a year, I know I got to do at least $200,000 a year in sales. If my rent's 100 grand a year, okay, because I know, which sounds crazy to some of you, and some of you would like, I wish my rent were only 100 grand a year. Okay, I got to do $1 million in sales to be in the zone, and that is why that is so important. It is all about being in the zone. If you're trying to lose weight, you want to get your body moving enough so you're in the fat burning zone. Okay, when getting your sales to that zone. So when you're looking at a new space, okay, if you are looking at a new space or if you are looking at opening your first store, this becomes the number, okay, because you know what your rent's going to be. Okay, you're negotiating a lease, and everything in commercial leases is negotiable. Everything is negotiable. Okay, you're negotiating a lease, and you're working on that, and that's important. And then you are designing. Okay, you are by making that lease, you know exactly. Okay, exactly what you need to do for sales. Okay, you are scripting it. Okay, because you know the range. So you know what it's going to be 6% of sales, and you know what it's going to be 12. So you know the range that you want to fall into for sales. So you know if that's even possible. Will you get enough inventory? Okay. Do you have access to enough inventory to sell at the price point you're going to be selling to achieve those sales? Okay. Because I want you to know that now. Okay. Because like some of you, when I say 10,000 a year, are like, oh, you actually named my rent. And others of you are like, that's what I pay a month. And some of you are like, that's what somebody pays a month, and it's like, yes, but they're doing that. They have the product and the sales to achieve, and they can generate the sales to pay that rent on a monthly basis and have it only be 6 to 12%. But part of it is a mindset. You got to be okay with that. You got to be able to sleep at night knowing what your rent is, okay, and not having it keep you up at night. I never it always I never want it to keep you up at night. I never want your rent to keep you up at night. And it is a big stressor for people because they fall in love with the place, but they don't do the math. And it's so important to do the math. Okay, I always say math. That's why we carry the calculator. It's so important to do the math and understand where that is, so that you don't get yourself into a position that puts you in a bad place. Um, and it may not even put you in a bad place. You may be able to do more than you think you can, but when you actually do the math, you do. If you know that your average price point is $20, okay, and in the example where you had to do $100,000 a year, if your price point is $20, that means you're going to sell 5,000 $20 items. Now that may sound like nothing to you, or that may sound like an insane amount of items, but that's what you have to do those sales. Okay, and you have to think that through. You have to understand what that is. You have to understand how many times you're going to be sitting there at the computer typing that in, how many price tags that's going to be, and everything else. Get 5,000 items in price sold. Okay, and that's the sold part. So you're going to need more than 5,000 items in your door to be able to sell 5,000 $20 items. And that's why it's so important in the mix, especially when you're looking at a new place, when you're looking at something different, when you're looking at making a change, when you're looking at signing a lease renewal. Understanding all your costs, okay, understanding what they are and how they come together. That's why for the last several nights, if you have not watched the last several nights I've been on, go back and watch those videos, because I talked about all the components that make up your lease cost or your occupancy cost. And that is incredibly important. You know what else is incredibly important? This video and everything I talk about. This video and everything I talk about goes over to the YouTube channel. You're not alone running this store, where you can like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell. Ring it so you know when another one drops. You can also share it with everybody you know in business, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, so we can help everybody build a better business. I am here every Sunday and Wednesday at More 8 Than Ish, every Sunday and Wednesday. But if you have a question in between, just email me, Neil, NEIL at nextlevelresale.com, NEIL at nextlevelresale.com. We start the program every night with the Stay Positive book. That's where we start every night. Tonight, we're on page 204. Tell yourself these 5 things today. You are loved. You matter. It's okay to fail. Everyone does. Fear is normal. Don't worry about the outcome. Go for it. Smile. You've got this. Life is about people, commitment, loyalty, and relationships. In the end, we won't be measured by our bank account, sales numbers, or wins and losses, but by the difference we made in people's lives and the difference we made through relationships. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Neil Abramson. I do like a good party, a wedding, a bar mitzvah. We continue to party all the way through 2023 until Wednesday at More 8 Than Ish. Know that you, but most importantly you, yes, you're not alone running this store. Have a great night, everybody. I will see you on Wednesday. It's time for dessert.